The day of Pentecost in the Bible is kind of a big deal. It's the sort of pivot point in the New Testament where things take a wild turn for the disciples of Jesus. Let me back up a little before diving in. Picture a group of guys and gals that have been following around this charismatic figure, Jesus, for a few years. He's been doing miracles, shaking up the establishment. And then suddenly, he's crucified. Rough times, right? But then, plot twist. He's resurrected from the dead. The whole group's mindsets must have been blown. Now Jesus hangs around for 40 more days and then, like something out of a sci-fi movie, he ascends into heaven. His parting words? Wait for a helper that's coming, the Holy Spirit. So there they are, about 120 of them, just waiting around in Jerusalem, which brings us to the day of Pentecost. This wasn't some random event that just happened. Pentecost was actually an existing Jewish holiday called Shavuot, celebrated 50 days after Passover. Picture Portland's Saturday market, but on a much bigger holiday scale where everyone's coming into town. Suddenly, as they're gathered, something wild happens. It sounds like a storm blowing through the room, and it looks like tongues of fire are touching down on everyone's head. Then, the real kicker, they start speaking in languages they don't know. Imagine being at the waterfront park and suddenly being able to converse in fluent Mandarin or Russian out of the blue. That's some next-level party trick, right? So naturally this causes quite a scene. The crowd outside is like, aren't these all Galileans? How are we hearing them in our own languages? There's a buzz in the air. Some mock them, saying they're drunk, but it's only 9 in the morning. Brunch hour hasn't even hit yet. Peter, a lead disciple, steps up and gives this impromptu speech. He's no longer the fisherman denying Jesus. He's bold, quoting the prophet Joel and King David, saying Jesus is the promised Messiah, and this Holy Spirit is for everyone. It's one of those epic launch events that radically changes the trajectory of their group. By the end of the day, around 3,000 people join their movement. I'm not talking about a small business opening. I'm saying this is the startup of the early church, with exponential growth straight out of the gate. In essence, the day of Pentecost is the birthday of the church. It's when Christianity shifted from being a sect of Judaism into a global movement. And here's the kicker. This event underscores a key theme throughout the Bible, that of God reaching out to humanity, breaking barriers, and bringing people together from all walks of life. Now, regardless of one's religious affiliations or lack thereof, you've got to admit the narrative arc here is pretty impressive. It's a story with implications that are still being played out thousands of years later, across countless cultures, and yes, even here in Portland.